going? This is Keith. We're at my garage here in Howard Lake, Minnesota. Welcome. My biggest thing that I collect, I would say, are the vintage helmets. Favorite I sold, actually, but I'd have to say just because they're totally different are those two decoupage ones up there. Somebody had a heck of an eye, and there's like, you even have the fawns on there. So I grew up in Pennsylvania on a farm in rural Pennsylvania, and that's where I got into motorcycles. My dad and my brother had dirt bikes when I was growing up, and by the time I was kind of getting old enough to get on them, Dad kind of realized that it might not be a great idea, so he kind of parked them for a while. That's kind of where my passion started for motorcycles. The first bike that I really ever wrenched on was my brother's bike that it had broken down, and after school I'd go down and work on it in the barn, and got it fired up for the first time and rode it and got myself in trouble, and I think that's where the passion really began. So this is my latest build, 47 Knucklehead. This bike came to me in a kind of an odd way. As you can see, I collect helmets, and helmet purchase a few years back. One thing led to another. The initial purchase led to a bike purchase, and then the gentleman kept in contact with me, and this bike was his neighbor's, and ended up buying it, you know, just word of mouth. So it worked out really, really well, because I tried for a long time to try and afford a Knucklehead, and this was about the only way I could do it. So once I got the bike, totally rebuilt it from the ground up, as far as the bike goes. The drivetrain is still what it was when I got it. It's a 47 motor, 46 transmission. I ended up putting it in a 53 wishbone frame, and then it's a 45 front end on it. So I tried to keep it somewhat period correct. As far as the cosmetics of the bike, the paint is Tony Sundell. He's done paint for a lot of guys. He does a great Survivor chopper paint. That was the base. We actually had a plan. It was gonna be a white bike with green panels, and that helmet on the floor there, I acquired that helmet while we were in the process of getting this bike painted, and we shifted gears. So we based the whole paint, or Tony did, based the paint off of that helmet right there, and it just turned out killer. Another thing on this bike that I really like is this gas cap I had made. Mountain Hawk Silversmith, I believe she's down in Georgia. I hit her up on a whim and said, hey, is there any way you can lay some turquoise into this cap for me, because I think it'll go really well with the bike. And it turned out really, really cool. One of the other things I like about it, as far as the cosmetics go, is I've got a glass shift knob that matches the rest of the paint pretty much. I went through a bunch of them that I had bought trying to find one that matched. It's Seat, B&C Cycles out of Canada. They do a great job. The only reason I went there is the pan actually is made to fit this fender with that rib on it. So another piece that was something I had for a long time is this tail light. It's one of the original cat face tail lights, and I was worried that I was gonna break it on the bike, so I've kind of been on the hunt for a spare, just because I know they're really hard to come by, the originals now. And yeah, I got it done just in time for Sturgis this year. We went out and it did great. It pulled the hills. We ran 200 miles while we were out there, and it did just awesome. It was a really, really fun bike, and it's by far the easiest bike I've built to ride. It actually fits me well, and it's really easy to ride. My first brand new bike I ever bought was a Harley Sportster, and that's what I could afford, and it was back in the day when you couldn't get them, so I was super excited to get one. And first thing I did was tried to make it my own. I didn't have a bunch of knowledge on how to build a chopper, what to do with it, so it was a lot of just replacing parts and making it a little bit cooler than it was. And then from there, had some gaps in life where I didn't have bikes, but when I got back into it, I was traveling for work, and what I'd do in my off season, which was the winter time, is I'd buy up old metric bikes and started flipping them for some extra money. And what happened was the same game. I didn't want to have it the same bike as everybody else had, and when I wanted to make one my own, it became a chopper, and that's how I started building choppers. And it was a bunch of Yamaha 650s, 750 Hondas that nobody wanted to figure out how to make them run, so that's what I did. Then from there, that developed into reeling back into having enough money to buy Harleys again. And that's kind of how my garage became what it is today. So one other thing that's just kind of here is this Survivor Ironhead. I've run across a few really cool Survivor bikes over the years, and I like bringing them back to life. This one, I kind of changed everything out other than the drivetrain, because I don't know how I'll ever get it out of there. But I'm pretty sure it's an AE bike from back, back in the 70s Survivor. The paint, everything is the same. Darren up at Bobby's Chop Shop recovered the seat for me, and everything else I had here, and just made it a runner and rider, and it's super, super fun. It gets looks everywhere I go. The support I have for doing this, it's really just me and my wife here. So I had a few years back, I'll kind of sidetrack here, but a few years back, I had a pretty severe spine surgery. And in that, I ended up selling off every motorcycle part I had and kind of started over. And as far as supporting me in my passion, that's all her, because I remember when after my back surgery, I was in recovery and I was out of work for a while, but I had set up a bunch of my parts. You'll see in here, I have everything in milk crates. And I had, before my surgery, lined up parts that are easy to handle, and had her bringing parts into the house for me to sort while I was recovering from my surgery to kind of keep everything rolling. So I'd have to say it's her. And then of course, in the bike community, you run into a ton of good people. I've kept myself out of the big mix for years and years because I kind of got turned off with some of the bike shows and how they operate and stuff like that. And then a few years back, the guys at Mama Tried invited us. We kind of stumbled on those guys out in Sturgis one year, and they invited us to their show. And ever since then, we've kind of been involved in the bike scene because it kind of opened our eyes. And when I say our, I've got a couple buddies in the area too, but it kind of opened our eyes to, it's not all about judging each other and competing against each other. And there's a big community that everybody can support each other. So I guess that rolls back into the support part of things. What it means to me for being able to be out here in the garage would be a couple things. One, it just like everybody probably says, it's a little bit of freedom, and you can express yourself, right? I like the satisfaction of getting bikes, taking them from a clapped out piece of garbage and turning it into something neat that's operable, and then make it look like you want it to look. A big part of that comes from my background, I think. I was a chef for almost 30 years, and so now that I'm not doing that anymore, I think this is kind of the next piece of expression for me, and I can create things out here. And I know it sounds kind of cheesy, but I think it's part of it. I think that's why I get so detailed into the bikes, just because I want to be able to make them my way and create something. So, and one thing I'll tell you, like for the young guys out there that are trying to get started doing it, you can do it anywhere. You can do it with really any budget. Most of my stuff that I buy comes from swap meets, Facebook, wherever. I'm not just that big money guy that's out there buying things up. I end up, like I said before, everything in here is paid for by me working on bikes. It's kind of my side deal. So it's just turned into a neat space for me, and I really appreciate and I'm grateful for what I have. I'd like to thank a ton of people that have helped me along the way, but I know I'll forget people. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to thank my wife, and then I'm going to thank Dennis Kirk for coming out today. Thank you very much.